Najważniejsze transmisje sportowe masz teraz na wyciągnięcie ręki. Pobierz darmową aplikację TVP Sport. Link znajdziesz w opisie.
Mike, it's a great opportunity to speak to you again ahead of another massive fight for Mateusz Gamrot. And as we are speaking, the first topic to raise is that you are now in Dublin, Ireland, and of course you won't be in Mateusz corner on this Saturday. So can you tell us, please, what is the thought process and deciding process? Which fighters are you cornering this time?
Yeah, this was heartbreaking. It's really rough when we have a Bellator and a UFC on the same night. But in Bellator, we actually have 4 fighters fighting. I'm coaching 3 of them. Okay. One is Johnny Ebelin, who's the champion in Bellator. He's a guy that lives in South Florida. He's been with me in the gym since his first fight. And Sabah Hamasi and Roman Feraldo. And then we also have a 145-pounder, JJ, forget JJ's last name. Mm-hmm. But we have 4 fighters actually fighting.
So is it a mix of loyalty to the fighters that you work the most time and the amount of fights, or maybe the importance since John Eblen is defending the belt?
No, dude, this is such a major decision for me. Always, every time I hate it. Like it's when I have like 2 athletes, especially Mateus is like one of my favorites. Right, he's so fun to coach. He's such a great guy, 100% one of my favorite guys. So it's always like heartbreaking for me when I got to make these type of decisions. I always talk about it with Dan Lambert, and usually Dan helps me guide, kind of guides me. And at the end of the day, like Johnny, it's usually the guy who I've been with the longest. Like, so if he's been there longer, is kind of usually what I do. Sometimes if like the one fight is much greater of magnitude than another, okay, then that might kind of offset things. But when they're in, the similar magnitude, then I try to go with a guy that I've been with the longest is typically, how we do it. Okay, but Johnny's it's a world title fight. He's main event. Gamrot is in a main event title eliminator. 2 massive fights.
Yeah, definitely. So it's fascinating to see the thought process in such a big gym as American Top Team. And I wonder, is it getting easier with the years of coaching? Did you get used to that kind of situations, or it's still heartbreaking for you?
No, I don't get used to it at all. It's terrible. I hate it every time. I mean, and it's like Bellator, PFL, and UFC, when they have shows on the same night, we run that risk that we may have some guys fighting on the same night, and then we come to some very tough decisions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I know it's just a hypothetical scenario, but you've been in situations when you had Bellator fighters on one coast. For example, when Mateusz was fighting the last fight with Jalen Turner, the day before you were you were on Bellator. I don't remember who was fighting then, but it was some massive bantamweight fight, and you just took the trip after Friday to get to Mateusz. So I wonder if it was possible, if the Bellator was this Friday, could it be possible for you to get back to Vegas?
If I could, I would, for sure. No problem. That's an easy one. If I can make it, I'll do it. But it's not always possible. And I actually forgot about that. You're right. I forgot that I had another situation like that before with Mateus. For some reason, he always lines up with a Bellator and like a big one, and it's always not one guy. It's like 3 or 4 guys always like on the other card. I don't know how that's happening, but that's happening.
A great challenge ahead of Mateusz, and he's been talking about Fiziev as a one-dimensional fighter. So what do you think about this? Is it that kind of easy for a coach to prepare a game plan if you know that there is a threat only on one aspect of the fight?
I mean, Fizievem is an excellent fighter. I mean, his grappling defense isn't bad, and it's pretty solid. It's pretty good, actually. I mean, he doesn't have, I mean, obviously wrestling offense or maybe jiu-jitsu offense, but he definitely has solid defense in those areas, right? No, this is definitely a big challenge. It's definitely not an easy fight. But this is what Mateus lives for. This guy loves challenges. He actually has told me before challenge is his second name. So I think he's not afraid of taking risk, and he is willing to fight anyone and everyone out there. And it is a very big challenge. It's a very tough fight, but this is the type of guy that can get it done. Mm-hmm. Mateus is, excellent wrestling, excellent conditioning. Striking is growing all the time, and this is going to be a big test.
Yeah, but how does it work for you as a coach? Because there is a saying that the fighter is more dangerous if he's practicing one kind of technique, one kind of punch for 1,000 times than the fighter who's having like 100 skills, but he's not training them so long. So is it easier for you to prepare a game plan, or much difficult because he may have much limited way of skills, but they are much more deadlier because of his excellence at this point?
I mean, I would say that, it's not a difficult to come up with a game plan. That's not a difficult challenge, but it's
difficult to execute it, right?
Maybe executing is another story. We're going to find out. That's only time will tell this. But I think that Gamrot has been working on many new techniques, new ideas, new pieces to the puzzle that he can add that I think that can make his fights go a little easier. And he's a workhorse. So this guy is working really hard and getting better. So now we will get to see if all this hard work will it'll work, if it's gonna show, if you'll have success with this. But he's been in the laboratory 100%, putting in work, getting better, improving, and has new improved some skills that he and new weapons that he's added that can cause problems for people. So we'll see how that goes.
So what do you think will be more difficult for Mateusz, to get Fiziev down, or to control him there, or to have the possibility to cause damage while controlling Fiziev on the ground?
We'll see. I mean, we haven't seen a lot. There's a lot of question marks. In my mind, there's a lot of question marks because we haven't seen him with a lot of top grapplers or strong wrestlers, right? We haven't seen that many times, and it's been a long time. So I'm unsure of how it's going to look when he gets on top of him. We'll see. I'm not certain how good Fiziev is when he is on the ground. I'm sure it won't be easy, but this will be there'll be a battle for the takedown. There's going to be a battle to ride him, right? Both of these are going to be a challenge, but we also need to strike. We need to be competent enough and comfortable enough to strike. It cannot be a 100% ground fight.
Yeah. Actually, Mateusz was pointing that out after Benil Dariush fight, that he was so focused on purely wrestling that he couldn't excel it in the fight because he lacked the striking. So when I looked at Fiziev fights, as you mentioned, there weren't many wrestlers who fought them, but I think that the Rafael dos Anjos showed that chain wrestling might be the key, because he was attacking from different sides, different angles, and he was just moving from one technique to another, right? From one leg to double or to getting behind the back. So what do you think about this fight? Was it important for you to get some clues?
Right. This is accurate. You know, it's a little older, but it showed that it can be done. And it's about setups, right? This is about every takedown needs a setup, and setups usually are striking. This is mixed martial arts. You know, you need to blend things, right? Like every takedown needs a setup, and those setups come when you're engaging in the striking and scoring and landing, and that's when the takedowns will come.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just trying to wrestle like a wrestling match, you're not taking anybody down in this day and age.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder ahead of this fight, I guess it might get bloody. It might be the fight when there is a lot of elbows, a lot of clean game maybe, and the last Mateusz fights weren't like that. And I wonder, is it something that you can prepare on the mat during training, or it's just purely about the character, the heart of the fighter, and how much can they go through to get the things done?
I mean, I think this is genetic, man. I don't think you can change that. I mean, I think you can build mental toughness to a degree, but I think that most of this is almost genetic, right? Like some guys have a much higher threshold for pain and willing to endure punishment than others. And it can be a very dramatic difference from one fighter to another. And even in great athletes, like elite, amazing fighters, you know, some guys can take a lot of damage and battle through that, and it doesn't bother them, and then they can persevere and still come on top. You know, other world champion level athletes, sometimes they don't have that. Gamrot has that. Gamrot is mentally as tough as they come. He's very strong-minded, and I mean, you see it in the gym. You just see his mindset, the way he spars, the way he trains. This guy is like, he's not afraid to get hurt. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just thinking about this fight that what will it bring to Mateusz if he wins? Is it enough to get in top 5? Because when we look at the top 5, there are a lot of big names. Some of them are inactive, like Michael Chandler, and we can wonder what is he still doing there. But we know when we are talking about rankings, it's not only about the sport and the outcomes of the fights, but also on marketing value of the fighters.
Yeah. I think it'll put him up there in top 5. Who do we have in the top 5?
So we have Charles Oliveira, Gaethje, Dustin, Benil Dariush, and Michael Chandler. I
could see the winner of this being put in that number 5 spot.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like, I'm not sure if they'll do that, but I could see that definitely happening, and I think deservedly so.
So, Coach, I wanted to ask you. I know it might be a silly question because I'm just asking about the Polish fighter, but what is special about Mateusz when we speak about how he's perceived at ATT? Because not only how you are speaking about it, but about him, but also before he left Poland, he showed me and my other fellow journalist colleague like a short video from Jorge Masvidal when he was inviting him, and it wasn't like just some, I don't know, two words. I don't know, it's good to see you, or waiting to see you again. It was like I don't know, a minute, like a motivating speech about this fight and how hard they will train together. And of course, there is a story when Dustin Poirier decided to come out of his house to help him prepare for Jalen Turner. So I think it's not only about how Poles think about Mateusz.
No, this is I haven't seen the video with Masvidal that you're talking about, but I'm not surprised.
He didn't
I'm not
publish
surprised.
it. Yeah, it was private.
No, but I know, but like I didn't see it through either of those guys. But I'm not surprised at all, right? This is no, Mateus is a guy that he's like one of your favorites. This guy is such an amazing teammate, so great energy, so hardworking, so positive. And he's also like overly like he's overly complimentary sometimes of like all those people around him. Like even if you don't help him that much, he acts like you know you did so much for him, even when you did very little. But he's very appreciative of anything you give him, any help, and he's a monster. He's like as hard of a worker as we have in the gym. You know, he's up there, top 1% of the 1%. Mental toughness, just he's that whole package. That's the guy you want to go to battle with. That's the guy you want to go to battle for, right? He's got like a giant heart, right? Like his mind is like 100% driven. All this guy thinks about, cares about, is fighting and his family, probably, you know, his Polish family. And this guy, I don't think he watches TV. He doesn't have any hobbies. This guy does nothing but like eat, sleep, and breathe fighting and his wife and kids, right? Like this guy is a one-track mind, and he has like great genetics, a wrestling background. There's no reason this guy can't reach the top position as number one guy in the world. I mean, he's got a lot of things going for him, and he's all in, and he's the guy that people want to help because of that.
Okay, so I've spent some time with him and his family recently, so I can just say everything is true what you are saying about his family and the affection that he has towards them. So just to end this interview, I have just two more questions. The first one is, what do you think about the corner? Let's get back to the beginning of this interview. Because I've spoken to Mateusz like, I don't know, hour or 2 hours ago, and he said the coach Anderson also won't be in his corner due to some health issues, and there will be only the fellow Polish fighters, Borys Mańkowski, Łukasz Rajewski. And do you think it might be an issue during this fight?
No, I mean, the people he's with, you know, probably know him best. He's been with these guys, you know, a long time. They know him better than I do. And he knows how to fight. You know, he knows what he's doing. He's been doing this a long time. I mean, it would be nice to be there, of course, but Mateus has strong mind, strong will, and the ability. I think that I don't think that's going to be an issue. I really don't.
I guess you will be staying up night. I think the fight will be around 2 a.m. in Ireland, or maybe 3 a.m. So it's not that bad. And I've seen that Dustin is also there, right? So it might be like a big ATT watching party.
Oh, 100% we'll have a little party, excited, cheering him on for sure. Everyone loves Gamrot. Everyone. Dustin, Sabah, Johnny, I believe is the best middleweight in the world. And Mateus loves training with this guy. It's like 2 weight classes above him. I don't know how many pounds, but those guys always have great battles, great scraps. Like Mateus always looking for the best guy in the room. Whoever the best guy in the training room is, that's the guy Gamrot wants. And that's why he's where he's at today, you know, main eventing UFCs and on his way to win a world title.